All right, let's look at putting in a sink and maybe a faucet, and then maybe swapping out our range and range hood and customizing our refrigerator. And then we'll move on to section viewports in the next screencast. So I'm going to go to the library, and I'm going to go to Objects, Building Services, and pull up some of the Kohler faucets or Kohler sinks. I'll start out with that. Click OK, and maybe I'll drop this sink down into my drawing, and I'm going to position it in my drawing. And it comes in on the floor, so I need to move it up to the elevation. So I'll probably just pull this on up so it's just resting at my counter. And now I need to cut my counter. So I'll switch to a top view and use push-pull. All I need to do is draw my rectangle on the counter, and I'll switch to a 3D view and re-render, and then choose push-pull in the third mode. Select my item, my counter. I went the wrong way. I'll switch views, see if this helps me out here. I'll go select the 2D object, my counter, and then drag it down. There we go. I've cut my hole. If it's not quite the right size opening, I'm going to zoom in. I can recut it, or I can use push-pull. It looks like my sink is a little too high, so I'll select it, switch to a front view, and just scooch it below the surface a little bit. Let's see how that looks. It's an undermount sink, so there we go. I can play around with the opening using push-pull if it's not quite the right size, just by pushing or pulling in the first mode. Now, if I can get to one of those faces, there we go. If I need to push a little bigger, the challenge here is getting the face that you need, but you can fine-tune the opening. And then I'll go back to the library and see if there's a Kohler faucet. We can drop down on the deck, switch back to top plan. Wow, those are pretty ornate. Let's see, let's go for one that's got a sort of a simple gooseneck. And again, I can line that up with the midpoint of the sink. And then I can rotate it if I want to. And then the last thing I need to do is the elevation. Again, it comes in on the floor. I guess I could have dropped it in on the automatic working plane. I can also set the Z for 36 because it's sitting on top of the counter. Let's take a look at that. All right, our kitchen's come together. So I'm going to go back to the library, and let's see, I think it's Objects, Building, and Interiors, and let's find a wolf. Let's bring a wolf range in here, as long as we're designing this kitchen. Gas ranges. And I'll switch back to top plan. So this is a standard 30, so I can just replace it with a much nicer stove. And I can move that to the back, so in 2D, my range will show. Doesn't affect where it is on the page. And then let's go back to the library and go back to Wolf. I suppose I could have stayed there. And let's see, we want, see what their wall heads look like. I need a 30-inch as well, so I can choose, maybe I'll choose this one. So I'll get rid of the existing one there and bring this one in. This one's got some data on it. It's got a text, it's a 2D symbol, and it also comes in on the ground, so I need to lift it on up. And not even close. So I can lift that up. If it's a different height, I might have to change the height of this cabinet, but we're getting there. And then lastly, I want to show you a trick. So I couldn't find a black refrigerator. You know, I could have gone to a manufacturer's website, try and find one. But this is a symbol, or a plug-in object. No, it's a symbol. And I can select the symbol, and I can convert it to a group. And I want to convert all objects. And now it's a group, and I can ungroup it. What that does is go back to its original components. So here's a group, and here's a group, and if I want to make those black or give it a texture or dark gray, that's kind of nice. I want to give that, it's too dark. Gray, if I wanted to change the handle, I could select the handle, but I don't have to redraw anything. If I wanted a different door style, but I liked everything else, I could just replace this, because now this is its own group. So it's very easy to customize something that's already drawn. There's no need to go ahead and draw the entire thing if you don't have to. So there we have our kitchen.